Okay, what's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of Howze That Book Review. Or Howze That Book Review. Oh, wait a minute. Or Howze That Book Review. Nevertheless, we're going to cover a powerful piece of property owned by Mr. Grant Cardone in the Cardone Zone. Guys, this book, The 10x Rule. Say something. If you're looking to take your life, your business to the next level, there is some content inside this book that will blow you away. I mean, if I'm going to summarize this book in a few sentences. I'm going to give you some more nuggets than a few sentences, but let me just tell you what the book really is all about. It's about setting high goals. That's what the 10x stands for. So if your goal is to make $100,000 next year, Grant is saying times that times 10. So what's that mean? You're going for $1 million, right? And so it's better to shoot high and miss than to shoot low and hit. There is nothing worse than a life that is resented. So let's jump into it. One of the things I love that he covers is he talks about the biggest mistake most people make in life is not setting goals high enough. And so as I opened up with, very often we don't hit the goals we desire or really want because we never set them. For fear, we're scared, or we're getting caught up in the average zone. That's the biggest issue. So you want to start off by setting high expectations for yourself, right? The 10x rule is based on understanding the level of effort and the level of thinking required to succeed. So the level of effort and the level of thinking go hand in hand. You have to have a high level of thinking in order to achieve high standards. You got it? In order to go farther than you ever thought possible, you have to both think and act at levels of 10x, beyond the norm. So it's not just about thinking 10x, not just about setting 10x goals. So yes, you said $100,000, and if you're going to think 10x, now you're saying $1 million. Okay, now what are you going to do to create that million? So it takes a level of action behind the thought process. Key thing to remember. Let me tell you what he points out as common mistakes. Common mistake number 1, setting your sights too low. Common mistake number 2, underestimating how much action is required. So we have these high expectations, and sometimes we are a pie in the sky with our thought process, not realizing we actually have to go to work. So you need to do a good assessment before you take off. Common mistake number 3, spending too much time competing and not enough time dominating their sector. So we're worried about the next guy as opposed to doing the best we can with what we have. Interesting. Common mistake number 4, underestimating the amount of adversity they will have to overcome. Meaning, sometimes we think it's going to be super easy. It's going to be one of those pour water and stir situations, microwave success, and we don't realize that adversity is coming. And so, since we're not prepared, we get overwhelmed. Grant also says, it is your duty, call of duty, to be successful. Do not view success as an option. What does he mean by that? It is your duty to provide for your family, to live the best life that you can while you're on this earth, to let the value that God has given you touch people all over the globe, if that's what you're called to do. It is your duty. It's not an option. So remember that. Being dependent on only one person or one solution for success is your fault. Winners bring in success from many different avenues. Multiple avenues. What does that mean? That means have multiple streams of income. Another great thing that Grant talks about, which I really love, he says, as opposed to being threatened by other people and their success, remember that success by others is an indication that something is possible. Yeah, so that should inspire you. You shouldn't be worried about the Joneses. You should realize that, guess what? If the Joneses have it, I can get it. If their grass is green, mine could be green or even greener. It's all about perspective. Grant also says in the book that money and power follow attention. Now that's a pretty powerful phrase in itself. Money and power follow attention. So, you want to build your business. You want to make $1 million. You want to be the one that people come to and they call on as the influencer. Well, all this happens when you create the attention. I forget who wrote the book. Be so good they cannot ignore you. Right? That's basically what it means. You just be so good that people's eyes have to stay on you. And by creating that attention, you're creating momentum. By creating momentum, that will ultimately, inevitably bring the money and the power. So rid yourself of average thinking and average action and take 10x action and you'll get 10x results. It's not rocket science and it's easy to do. But like Jim Rome says, it's easy not to do. What's easy to do is easy not to do. You have to deliberately make yourself, deliberately, intentionally take 10x action. Here's another really, really great nugget for you. Don't follow the pack. Lead the pack. Ooh, isn't that something special? You know, I know it's natural, our human instinct to follow. It is. We see something and we like it and we move towards it. That's a natural human instinct. But it's time for us to realize that all the paths that have been created. So that means they can be created. What does that mean? You can create it. I know there's a lot of creations in that one phrase, but don't follow the pack, lead the pack. You be the reason for change. You be the leader in the revolution. You be the leader of the new business idea. You be the leader that people call the influencer that people want to follow. Yeah, that sounds cool, doesn't it? Here's one for all you guys that seem to be getting a lot of hate on you and people are serving you haterade and resenting and talking bad about you. How about this one? The best revenge against your critics is massive success. Ooh, that is sweet, baby. So sweet. The best revenge against your critics is to show them something, right? And then watch how your critics transform into customers. Good gracious. That's what happens with massive success. People can't help but to stop, look, and take notes. Now watch this one. Challenge traditions and establish ways of thinking. So challenge traditions. What is a nice challenge of tradition? Well, let's look at Netflix. Look at Netflix. Blockbuster was the king on the block. But then Netflix came along and he challenged the status quo. And before you knew it, no more big blockbuster on the block. Netflix now has the key to the city. Now, why? Because they challenged the traditional way of doing things. They thought outside the box. And because of their way of thinking, not only have they revolutionized the way we watch TV and we consume content online, but they became the masters. They became the leaders. They became the pioneers of digital media. Now, what can you take away from Grant Cardone in this book, The 10X Rule? I'll tell you what you can take away. Think big. Think outside the box. Everything you're thinking about doing, 10x it. The goals you have, make them bigger. Set your sights high. Swing for the fence. And as my man Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But guess what? If you take the shot, it just might be the game winner. Go check out the book 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and you will be pumped up, inspired, encouraged, and empowered to take your business and life 10 times higher. This is Rob Howze, and this is Howze That Book Review.